Could you hear it? You heard it? Most High Christ. Mm-hmm. You still on it? You do turn it down? Turn it up so you can see if you hear me still. Shalom, shalom. Ain't working no more? It's still working? Oh, what, the audio? It's not moving with my mouth?
It's moving with your mouth on the
Oh, all right. We're going to get started in a second. We're going to let a couple brothers and sisters get in here. Shalom Israel. Y'all Bashim Al Shabaraka thumb to the brothers. Y'all Shamar Allah thumb Bashim Al Shah to the sisters. I'm Priest Officer Karan Yala, the ICBK under Commander General Yana. And this is the Tuesday night Brotherhood class, streaming live on the Sacramento Israelites YouTube and Facebook page. So let's get into it, man. You can tell by the title, we're going to go into never trusting your enemy and the planned oppression, you understand, of the Lord's chosen people, right? Now, with this upcoming election, right, you got a lot of blacks, Latinos, and natives actually believing, one, that Kamala Harris is an Israelite or a so-called black woman, which she is not, you understand? If you look into her genealogy, her heritage, and the history of her people on her father's side, she actually comes from the seed line of Caucasian men, oppressors, you understand? Being born in Jamaica, which I don't believe she was, but I believe her father was. Being born in Jamaica absolutely makes you a Jamaican. But Jamaican is not a race. It's not an ethnicity. You understand? It's not a family of people, right? You got Caucasian people that live in Jamaica. You got East Indian people that live in Jamaica. And you got so-called black people that live in Jamaica. You understand? 3 different nationalities of people that live on the same island. You understand? That have no blood relations to each other. You understand? So, with that being said, her not being an Israelite, you can't count on her to have the children of Israel's blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians best interest in her heart or in her mind. You understand? Although she is not going to win this election, you understand? Like America was built off of white male dominance. You understand? This is why you got Donald Trump talking about, look, this is about to be y'all last time voting, because he's literally telling the American public, like, look, however this country has been ran before, you understand, I'm about to change that because I have the power to change that because of who I am. You understand? Him being a so-called Caucasian man. You understand? So let's get into it. Never trusting your enemy. You understand? I'm going to pull Psalms, the 83rd chapter, and I'm going to start at verse 1. Make sure y'all like, share, comment, subscribe to ISUBK Sacramento or Sacramento Israelites Facebook and YouTube page, as well as Oakland Israelites Facebook and YouTube page. What do I want? Psalms, the 83rd chapter. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 83 and verse 1. Keep not thou silence, O God. Hold not thy peace and be not still, O God. You understand? The Psalms in the Bible was written by King David. You understand? And he's saying, basically, you understand, don't sit back and do nothing about the oppression that's going on with the children of Israel. You understand? He's saying, don't be silent about it and don't hold your peace. You understand? Like, David is praying to the Lord, right? That the Lord actually does something about the children of Israel being oppressed. You understand? He's pleading with the Lord to basically come to the rescue of his people from being oppressed by these other nations, right? For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, right? The enemies of the Lord are making a loud, confucious noise. You understand? They stirring up all type of abominations in the earth. You understand? With them oppressing the children of Israel and putting certain laws into place to keep us up under their feet, right? And they that hate thee have lifted up the head, right? These heathens that hate the Lord, they walking around with their heads in the sky proud. You understand? Because they've had the children of Israel in servitude for 400 years now. You understand? They've been prospering off the backs of God's chosen people in all different manner of services and getting innumerable riches. And this is the reason why these heathens are walking around with their head on high. You understand? That's what it means when it says, they that hate thee have lifted up the head. And of course, you would have to hate God in order to oppress the children of Israel. You understand? Because the children of Israel are the Lord's chosen people. And for you to oppress his chosen people, that means not only do you hate them, but you hate him. You understand? Because he chose us to be his favorite people. He chose us to live, you understand, and be called by his name, right? Verse 3. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. You understand? Crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. These people, let's look up that word crafty. Because that word crafty is a heavy word, you understand, to be used in this scripture right here. It's the Merriam-Webster dictionary definition of crafty: skillful or clever or adept at using subtlety or subtlety and cunning to achieve one's ends. That's exactly what your oppressor has done. He used cunning, conniving, trickery, you understand, in order to keep the children of Israel on drugs, in the projects, and we're going to get into all of this, you understand? I got a couple articles, right? I'm going to use the scriptures to drive my point home, you understand? But I'm going to back up these scriptures with articles about some of the history that happened with the children of Israel being oppressed right here in America, you understand? They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. You understand? This is exactly what the oppressor has done throughout history. He said, man, look, let's cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel be no more in remembrance. Chinese people, East Indians, you understand, Caucasians in general, right? Africans, you understand, Tongans, Samoans. None of these people believe that blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans are a special people. None of them believe the history of us being the true biblical Israelites. You can ask somebody what is a Jew today, and they're going to point you to the little hat people. You understand? They're going to point you to them imposters in Israel and say, well, those are Jewish people. You understand? Not knowing ignorantly by you calling them Jewish, you are admitting in speech that they are not the original people of that land. You understand? Salagia. Let me get Exodus, the first chapter. Let's start at verse 9. This is the book of Exodus, chapter 1 and verse 9. And he said unto his people, behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them. You understand? These are the Egyptians in the land of Egypt. You understand? During the time of the children of Israel actually inhabiting that land. And they said the same thing that the oppressor says today. Come on, let's deal wisely with them. Meaning, they are taking crafty counsel, just like how I just read in Psalm the 83rd chapter. You understand? Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply and it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. You understand? These people went to deal wisely with the children of Israel because they knew we were mightier than them. Because this is the spirit that the Lord put on us. You understand? They knew they knew that they was beneath us. They knew that we was better than them. You understand? It didn't help that one of our forefathers actually helped to save the land of Egypt at that time. You understand? They didn't give a damn about none of that. They said, man, let's deal with these people wisely, you understand? And put them in the type of position that we need them to be in so they don't rise up over us. Just how your oppressor is doing right here in America. This is where he got it from. You understand? Matter of fact, Shalaki, I just thought of a precept. Let's go to Revelations. Salakia. Looking for spiritually called Sodom and Egypt. Revelations 11 and 8. And it reads, and their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city. That's exactly what's going on with the children of Israel right now. You understand? The sister Sonia Massey, you understand? This is a prime example. Her dead body lying right there in her own home in this great city, you understand, or this great land called America, right? Because this is the great land that everybody wants to come to, so-called America. You understand? Salakia. And their dead bodies shall lie in the great city, which is spiritually called Sodom. You understand? The reason why it's spiritually called Sodom is because all of the LGBTQ activities going on over here, exactly how it did in the land of Sodom. You understand? Back in biblical times, right? And Egypt. Of course, it's called Egypt because of the slavery that the children of Israel served right here in America. Excuse me. And we're going to get into that. You understand? When I jump back to Exodus, the first chapter, right? Where also our Lord was crucified. When it said our Lord was crucified, this is talking about Christ. Of course, Christ was crucified back in the Middle East during biblical times. You understand? But now, Christ was actually also crucified again spiritually right here in America. And how did they crucify him? By setting up that image, you understand, of Caesar Borgia being Jesus Christ. You understand? Or Yahweh Shai Mashiach, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. That's how Christ was crucified right here in the Western Hemisphere. You understand? And that scripture is right in the Bible. You understand? A precept that said that they were going to do that. You understand? I'm going to read that again. Revelations 11 to 8. And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom, LGBTQ, right? And Egypt, the slavery that we served in ancient Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified. You understand? They set up the image of Caesar Borgia being Christ in order to promote white supremacy. You understand? In order for you to believe that your slave master is better than you by programming in your mind that Jesus and God is a white man. You understand? That's to instill fear in you too, as well. Because if you got a God that looks like your slave master, then that must mean your slave master is supposed to be ruling over you vigorously, how he did, you understand, in the early in the mid 1500s, you understand, up until now. All right. Let's go back to Exodus, the first chapter, and what was I at? Read verse 10 again. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply, and it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us. So get them up out of the land. Verse 11. Therefore, they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens. And they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Ramses. This taskmaster is a slave master. You understand? Somebody to beat your back in them fields, sitting on top of a goddamn horse, like they did in Mississippi, like they did in Alabama, like they did in Florida, Texas. You understand? Arkansas, Tennessee, all of them southern states down there. This is prophesied in the Bible. You understand? And we built these treasure cities for them. You understand? Washington, D.C. was designed by a slave. You understand? The White House itself was built by slaves. The White House ain't nothing but a big ass plantation home. You understand? That you're gonna see on them long dark roads, you understand, in Mississippi, in Texas, you understand? Them big houses in the middle of nowhere with an outhouse, you understand, the slave quarters and two big pillars in the front in the front of the house on the porch. You understand? That's a slave built mansion. You understand? A plantation. Verse 12. But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew, and they were grieved because of the children of Israel. Ain't that what happened in America? The more they afflicted the children of Israel in America, you understand, so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians, the more of our buffaloes they slaughtered. You understand? The more they fed our babies to alligators. You understand? The more they castrated, brothers. You understand? The more they beat us on our backs, the more lynches that happen. We still here today. We kept growing. We kept multiplying. You understand? It says, and they were grieved because of the children of Israel. You understand? They was grieved when they seen us. Every time look at these niggas. That's exactly how your oppressor looks at us today. You understand? That's exactly how your slave master thinks about you when he sees you driving down the highway in your nice car. You understand? He got to sit in that hot ass patrol car. You understand? And make $90,000 a year while you a young nigga with a Lamborghini. He's going to pull you over, harass you, oppress you, arrest you, and most likely ultimately unalive you. You understand? Because they grieved of the children of Israel, right? And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor. You understand? Let's look up that word rigor. That word rigor is a cold word. Rigor, strictness, harshness. Rigor, Merriam-Webster's definition. Harsh, inflexible in opinion, temper, or judgment. You understand? You get it. You understand? They made us serve with rigor, meaning they beat the hell out of us in ancient Egypt exactly how they did right here in America. Everybody's seen Roots. You understand? He got his back beat. You understand? Because he didn't want to be called Toby. You understand? That's crafty counsel. You understand? That's what Psalms, the 83rd chapter, was talking about when it says they wanted to make the name of Israel no more in remembrance. That's why they gave you the slave master's last name. Not so they can keep track of you. You understand? That was a part of it. But the overall reason why they gave us the slave master's last name, so we could pass it down to our children, you understand, so they can own us forever. So we can never get back to what our names actually were. You understand? Originally. Verse 14. And they made their lives bitter with hard bondage in mortar and in brick and in all manner of service in the field. All their service wherein they were made, Salaki, wherein they made them serve was with rigor. Everything that we did, they treated us harshly. You understand? If you didn't meet your quota with the cotton that you were supposed to pick from sun up to sundown, you understand, daily, you got your back beat. And a lot of times unalived. You understand? Lynched for not working for your slave master exactly how he wanted you to work for him. You understand? This is all planned. And it's the same thing that's going on today, right? Except they got laws in place now to where you can't unlawfully put your hands on somebody without there being consequences, legal consequences. You understand? So what do? They'll stop you from getting overtime hours. They'll block your raises. They'll keep you in the same position 4 years while they build up the wealth off of your back. You understand? Exactly how they did in ancient Egypt, exactly how it was in America. You understand? This crafty counsel that they took against the children of Israel right here in America, a lot of these practices came from this book. Like, your slave master is diabolical and a goddamn genius, if you ask me. You understand? What happened with the children of Israel back in the days of old? What made Egypt so successful? Oh, they did them like this. Yeah, they did us exactly like this back in ancient Egypt. And it worked right here in America. But it's one thing that the slave master is not, he wasn't too smart about this. You understand? Any nation that has the children of Israel in servitude and in slavery, you understand? Your empire crumbles. It is crippled by the hands of God, and you will pay severely for it. You understand? Verse 15. The king of Egypt spake to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of one was Shiphrah, and the name of the other Puah. And he said, when ye do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew women, and see them upon the stools, if it be a son, then ye shall kill him. But if it be a daughter, then she shall live. That's Planned Parenthood right there in the Bible. You understand? Margaret Sanger, I'm going to pull up an article about her in a minute. You understand? But she used the eugenics program in Planned Parenthood, you understand, in order to cut down the population of so-called black people, because we are the undesirables in this country. They didn't want us to eat up all of the resources here. You understand? And that's exactly what they did right here in ancient Egypt. You understand? They tried to force sisters to do late-term abortions on these pregnant Israelite women. You understand? Of course, these sisters wasn't with it because they feared the Lord. And this is what Pharaoh ultimately did. And Pharaoh charged all his people, so like Exodus 1:22. And Pharaoh charged all his people, saying, every son that is born, ye shall cast into the river, and every daughter ye shall save alive. You understand? He reiterated to his people, man, look, since these Hebrew wives don't want to follow my law in unaliving these baby boys, then whichever one of y'all see baby boys walking around here, yeah, go ahead and push them in the river. Abortion right there, late terms. You understand? Salaki. Let's go to Deuteronomy 28:68. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. That word Egypt comes from the Greek word Egyptos. You understand? Which means slavery or bondage. You understand? When you look at the history of that land of Egypt, the original name was Mizraim. The original name of that land was Mizraim or Matazarium in the Hebrew. The reason why it's known as Egypt is because after Alexander the Greek, you understand, conquered that known part of the world, before he died, he parted his kingdom amongst his 4 generals. You understand? One being named Ptolemy. Ptolemy was one of the generals of Alexander, and he assumed the position of being the ruler over Egypt. You understand? Of course, him being a Macedonian, his native tongue was Greek. You understand? If you understand anything about the Hellenistic times of those periods, they forced Greek language and culture on the world at that time. So this is why you see that word Egypt, you understand, in Hebrew. I mean, Salaki, in the Old Testament. But really, it's actually Mizraim or Matazarium in the Paleo Hebrew or in the Holy Tongue. You understand? And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. This is a prophecy about the children of Israel going into slavery on boats. You understand? By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more. And in this way where Moses is talking to the children of Israel, we wasn't going to see this way where we at, our homeland. You understand? in this area where I'm talking to y'all at, this is what Moses is saying. You ain't gonna see this no more again. And we ain't been back there again. When he's saying see it, of course, brothers jumped on planes and went to that part of the world, you understand, did some studying, some history. Hell, you even got a group of fake Israelites that followed after a known child abuser. You understand? I don't know if he was a known child abuser at that time, but Ben Amin, however you pronounce that brother's name, you understand, he's deceased now, but he took a lot of Israelites, you understand, so-called black people from Chicago and some of the surrounding cities back to Dimona, Israel, you understand? Which is basically the goddamn desert, you understand? A place where we didn't inhabit, you understand? That's as close as they got to it. But they don't live in the land where we called home, you understand? And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. That word buy in the Hebrew, you understand, is an old Quaker English word that means redeem. You understand? Nobody has gotten us out of slavery. Marcus Garvey tried it. Malcolm X tried it. The Nation of Islam, all of them tried it. You understand? Martin Luther King tried to marry us unto our slave master, right? But none of it worked. We still right here in their hands, in their land, you understand, feeding their crops, building up their nation, you understand, getting paid minimum wages on menial jobs while the oppressor is thriving. You understand? Salakia. Let's get an article, man. Let's get one of these good articles. Let's see if y'all can see this. Okay, Most High Christ. Salakia. This article comes from the Smithsonian magazine. The shocking savagery of America's early history. Right? Look at that picture right there. Look at that image right there. That's your oppressor, the Pilgrims. You understand? The so-called conquistadors. You understand? Man, they got the same hat on that the small hats wear. Ain't that a coincidence? You understand? I'm gonna read the passage of this picture. Salakia. Screen moving kind of slow. Salakia. The peaceful, it got peaceful in parentheses. You understand? The peaceful Pilgrims massacred the Pequots and destroyed their fort near Stonington, Connecticut in 1637. A 19th century wood engraving above depicts the slaughter. Good night. Peaceful, right? It's all a bit of a blur, isn't it? The little remember century 1600 to 1700 that begin with the founding and foundering of the first permanent English settlement in America, the one called Jamestown, whose endemic perils portend failure for the dream of a new world. The century that saw all the disease-ridden, barely civilized successors to Jamestown slaughtering and getting slaughtered by the original inhabitants, hanging on by their fingernails to some fetid coastal swampland until the what that say? Pocahontas served Thanksgiving. No, that's not right, is it? I said it was a blur. So they being sarcastic in the beginning of this. You understand? Enter Bernard Balin. And quick sidebar, I'm not going to read the whole article. You understand? I'm just going to give you a little bit of the history of this article. The greatest historian of early America alive today, now over 90 and ensconced at Harvard for more than 6 decades, Balin has recently published another one of his epic-making grand narrative synthesis, The Barbarous Years, casting a light on the darkness, filling in the blank canvas with what he's gleaned from what seems like every last scrap of crumbling diary page, every surviving chattel slave receipt, and ship's passenger manifest of the living and dead, every fearful sermon about the Antichrist that survived in the blackened embers of burned out churches. So, I don't think this is the article that I wanted. No, that's not the article that I wanted. Salakia, I'm gonna get that article in a second. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna run with another article just for time's sake. All right. We definitely gonna come back to the slaughter, you understand, of our brothers in the Northern Kingdom, the so-called Native American Indians. Till I find that other article, we're gonna start with the Southern Kingdom, so-called African Americans, Haitians, you understand, and Caribbeans, right? Now, this article is from KQED, right? And it's entitled "Conditions of Antebellum Slavery." The word antebellum means the period that happened before the Civil War in America. All right. Salakia. Get back to it. Okay. Says by 1830, slavery was primarily located in the South, where it existed in many different forms. African Americans were enslaved on small farms, large plantations in cities and towns, inside homes, out in the fields, and in industry and transportation. Though slavery had a such wide variety of faces, the underlying concepts were always the same. Slaves were considered property, and they were property because they were black. Their status as property was enforced by violence, actual or threatened. People, black and white, lived together within these perimeters, and their lives together took many forms. Enslaved African Americans could never forget their status as property, no matter how well their owners treated them. Would you imagine that? You understand? And it's just like today. You gotta take into consideration. You understand? Like the brother Young Dolph. You understand? May that brother rise again in righteousness, Lord allow. You understand? But that brother Young Dolph, he had a mixtape or album. It was called Rich Slave. You understand? And he understood that, yeah, he can drive a Lamborghini worth $30,000 in jewelry. You understand? Living in a big mansion. He can do all of that. But he's still a slave in this society. You understand? That was kind of a play on words that he did by naming his album that. So, Lucky, where was I at? But it would be too simplistic to say that all masters and slaves hated each other. Human beings who live and work together are bound to form relationships of some kind, and some masters and slaves genuinely care for each other. Now, pay attention to what they said. Some masters and slaves genuinely cared for each other. Now, listen to this next line. But the caring was tempered and limited by the power imbalance under which it grew. Meaning, the reason why this damn slave master cared about his slave is because he has power over that slave, the power to make that slave beneficial for him in monetary gain. You understand? And sometimes in sexual lust. You understand? Because the oppressor is the devil that the Bible speaks of, and he is a vile, base beast of a bastard. You understand? Salakia. Right? I gotta read that again. Says, but the caring and tempered, but the caring was tempered and limited by the power imbalance, by the power imbalance under which it grew. Also, the slave only cared about the slave master because the slave was trained and conditioned to care about this slave master. You understand? And this is a great example of our people having Stockholm syndrome. You understand? Us having compassion, sympathy, and empathy on a person that's physically and spiritually and mentally abusing us. You understand? Within the narrow confines of slavery, human relationships ran the gamut from compassionate to contemptuous. But the masters and slaves never approached equality. Of course. Why? Like, we're never gonna be equal to the slave master in this country. You understand? And nobody is equal to each other in the whole goddamn world. That's how the Lord set it up to be. This is why when you hear the men in the ISBK talk about the children of Israel, we call them the Lord's chosen people. You understand? Because if you have a group of people chosen by God, that means you are better than the people that are not chosen by God. You understand? The standard image of Southern slavery is that of a large plantation with hundreds of slaves. In fact, such situations were rare. Fully 3/4 of Southern whites did not even own slaves. Of those who did, 88% owned 20 or fewer. Whites who did not own slaves were primarily yeoman farmers. Practically speaking, the institution of slavery did not help these people. That's a goddamn lie. You understand? The institution of slavery helped every goddamn person that's not Black, Latino, and Native American Indian on this soil if you live here. You understand? Because if not for slavery, you would not have an empire so great as America. If not for slavery, you wouldn't have the resources, you understand, that's available to be obtained by certain groups of people, you understand, when they come over here from foreign countries. You understand? You absolutely benefit off of slavery. The only people that don't benefit off of slavery are the slaves. Period. You understand? Salakia. And yet, most non-slaveholding white Southerners identified with and defended the institution of slavery. I wonder why they identified and defended the institution of slavery. Because it benefited them. You understand? Though many resented the wealth and power of the large slaveholders, they aspire to own slaves themselves and to join the privileged ranks. So yeah, if they didn't have slaves themselves, they still wanted them. They like when I was a kid, I wasn't in the NBA. I wasn't a great basketball player. You understand? But me being a brother from the hood, you understand, and understanding what type of wealth can be obtained from being a basketball player, that made me want to be a basketball player. They literally just said to you that little Jimmy, you understand, that live on his farm, He's watching slave master Bill Thornton, or whatever the hell his name is. He watching him leave his house. You understand? Got all of these slaves at his beck and call. He making money. You understand? Millions of dollars. You understand? He dressing nice clothes. You understand? He got nice cars. His house hella big. That little boy that lived up the block from this slave master, that's a Caucasian just like him, he aspires to want to be just like his older brother that's a great slaver. You understand? Just like you got young brothers that want to be like LeBron James. Just like you got young brothers that want to be the next King Von. You understand? Well, back in the times of slavery in America, little white boys that didn't have slaves wanted to be exactly like the white boys that did have slaves. Let me see. Let's read some more. It said, I'm going to read that again. Though many resented the wealth and power of the slave owners, of the large slave owners, they aspired to own slaves themselves and to be joined to the privileged ranks. Of course, same thing as trailer trash white people today. You understand? They hate the rich. They hate the wealthy. You understand? Of their people, right? Because they ain't looking out for them. Let's keep it honest. But at the same time, though, they still want to be a part of them privileged ranks. In addition, slavery gave the formers a group of people. In addition, slavery gave the formers a group of people to feel superior to. Come on, man. Right now, you understand? Matter of fact, not too long ago, Oprah, I believe she went to Italy to a Gucci store or something like that. A Gucci store overseas, some place overseas, you understand, where they had high valuable merchandise, you understand, from the Gucci. It was either Gucci or Louis Vuitton. It's an Edomite white lady, you understand. She working in a store. She probably getting a little bit over minimum wages, but Oprah is essentially a billionaire in America. You understand? I believe so. Oprah asking her about one of the items in the store. Can't remember if it was a person or anything like that, but Oprah asking her about the item in the store. She like the Edomite lady that's working at the register. She like, oh, you can't afford that. Oprah looking at her like I'm Oprah. Like, what are you talking about? You understand? This Edomite lady, she didn't see Oprah Winfrey, the billionaire, the lady that's you get a car. She ain't seen none of that. She seen a nigga. You understand? She seen somebody that was inferior to her. If I work here at this Gucci store, your black ass damn can't afford this. That's exactly how she looked at Oprah. You understand? Salakia. They may have been poor, but they were not slaves and they were not black. They gained a sense of power simply by being white. You understand? Watching a people serve the same type of people that you are hand and foot. You understand? Watching your people do whatever the hell you want to do to these niggas. You understand? If I'm a white boy and I don't have slaves or I'm not a part of that ruling class of white people, at least I ain't a nigga. You understand? At least I ain't them. It must be some. It must be something in a white person that is better than them. Because look at me. I'm poor. We farmers. But I ain't no goddamn slave. I ain't black like him. You understand? And that's exactly what white supremacy is about. White people that live in America, they don't have to be rich to understand that they are superior to black people because their people never suffered slavery in this land. You understand? In the lower South, the majority of slaves lived and worked on cotton plantations. Most of these plantations had 50 or fewer slaves, although the largest plantations had several hundred. Cotton was by far the leading cash crop, but slaves also raised rice, corn, sugarcane, and tobacco. Many plantations raised several different kinds of crops. Excuse me. Besides planting and harvesting, there were numerous other types of labor required on plantations and farms. Enslaved people had to clear new land, dig ditches, cut and haul wood, slaughter livestock, and repair to buildings and tools. In many instances, the workers as mechanics, blacksmiths, they worked as mechanics, blacksmiths, drivers, carpenters, and in other skilled trades. Black women carried the additional burden of caring for the families by cooking and taking care of the children, as well as spinning, weaving, and sewing. Man, look, you mean to tell me, because I believe slavery lasted what? About 200 and some years as far as physical slavery. You understand? In the fields, plantations, that type of thing. It lasted about 200 years, probably more, probably about 250 years. You mean to tell me Caucasians got all of this this free labor, you understand, from us, and all I'm surprised that white people had they chew their own goddamn food or all of this stuff that I'm reading. You understand? They didn't even put on their own goddamn clothes. You understand? White people had they had to do nothing. You understand? As far as what I'm reading, right? 200 and some odd years of free labor. You understand? And you got white people walking around today talking about, well, I never benefited off of slavery. Well, when you dig into their history, you find out that some of these people that was rich slave owners, you understand, wealthy, 50, 60 slaves. I don't give a damn if your grandfather had one slave. I don't give a damn if your great grandfather has 0 slaves. If you are a Caucasian in this empire, you directly benefit off slavery. Let's read some more. Some slaves worked as domestics, providing services for the masters and overseers' families. These people were designed as house servants, where the term house nigga comes from, Salakia. And though their work appeared to be easier than that of the field slaves, in some ways it was not. They were constantly under the scrutiny of their masters and mistresses and could be called out on for service at any time. They had far less privacy than those who worked in the fields. Imagine that. They put us against each other, you understand, by brainwashing a house slave thinking that he better, not knowing when he or she come into that house to work up in that house as opposed to them fields, or they getting treated way worse. You understand? You in the field, you probably can get away with something. You probably can slip off, eat an apple or something like that. You understand? You can't. It ain't as easy as you going in another room and you know, trying to get something to nourish yourself while you living in the house. It's a whole different ball game. Salakia. Because they lived and worked in such close proximity, house servants and their masters tended to form more complex relationships. Black and white children were especially in a position to form bonds with each other. In most situations, younger children of both races played together on farms and plantations. Black children might also become attached to white caretakers, such as the mistresses, and white children to their black nannies. Because they were so young, they would not, they would have no understanding of the system they were born into. But as they grew older, they would learn to adjust to it in whatever ways they could. Man, like the scriptures say, is Israel a homeborn slave? You understand? And right here in America, we certainly were homeborn slaves. You understand? You was born and bred to be a slave for your slave master. The diets of enslaved people were inadequate or barely adequate to meet the demands of the heavy workload. They lived in crude quarters that left them vulnerable to bad weather and disease. Their clothing and bedding were minimal as well. Slaves who worked as domestics sometimes fared better, getting the cast-off clothing of their masters and having easier access to food stores. The heat and humidity of the South created health problems for everyone living there. However, the health of the plantation slaves was far worse than that of the whites. unsanitary conditions, inadequate nutrition, and unrelenting hard labor made slaves highly susceptible to disease. Illnesses were generally not treated adequately, as slaves were often forced to work even when sick. The rice plantations were the most deadly. Black people had to stand in water for hours at a time in the sweltering sun. Malaria was rampant. Child mortality was extremely high on these plantations, generally around 66%. On one rice plantation, it was as high as 90%. Come on, man. Come on, man. You mean to tell me on a lot of these slave plantations, 2/3 of the children died? It said on one rice plantation, 90% of a newborn, 90% of newborns died. They only had a 10% chance of living just being born in these conditions on this slave plantation. The white man is the devil that the Bible speaks of. This is all planned. One of the worst conditions that enslaved people had to live under was the constant threat for sale. Even if their master was benevolent, slaves knew that a financial loss or another personal crisis could lead them to the auction block. Also, slaves were sometimes sold as a form of punishment. And although popular sentiment, as well as the economic self-interest of the part of the owners, encouraged keeping mothers and children and sometimes fathers together, these norms were not always followed. Imagine that. Of course, the white man is the devil. Immediate family were often separated. If they were kept together, they were almost sold away from their extended families. Grandparents, sisters, brothers, and cousins could all find themselves forcibly scattered, never to see each other again. Even if they or their loved ones were never sold, slaves had to live with the constant threat that they could be. This was extreme torture. African American women had to endure the threat and the practice of sexual exploitation. There were no safeguards to protect them from being sexually stalked, harassed, or raped, or to be used as long-term concubines by masters and overseers. The abuse was widespread as the men with authority took advantage of their situation. Even if a woman seemed agreeable to the situation, in reality, she had no choice. Of course, slave men, for their part, were often powerless to protect the women they loved. The drivers, overseers, and masters were responsible for plantation discipline. Slaves were punished for not working fast enough, for being late getting to the fields, or defying authority, for running away, and for a number of other reasons. The punishment took many forms, including whippings, torture, mutilation, imprisonment, and being sold away from the plantation. Slaves were even sometimes, I'm gonna say, unalived. Y'all, if y'all can see, y'all know what that means. Some slave masters were more benevolent than others, and punished less often or severely. Excuse me. But with rare exceptions, the authoritarian, I can't even pronounce that word, Salakia, relationship remained firm even in those circumstances. In addition to the authority practiced on individual plantation, slaves through the South had to live under a set of laws called the slave codes. The codes varied slightly from state to state, but the basic idea was the same. The slaves were considered property, not people, and were treated as such. Slaves could not testify in court. Could not testify in court against a white, make contracts, leave the plantation without permission, strike a white, even in self-defense, buy and sell goods, own firearms, gather without a white presence, possess any anti-slavery literature, or visit the homes of whites or free blacks. The killing of a slave was almost never regarded as murder, and the rape of a slave woman was treated as a form of trespassing. Yup, man. Y'all get it. Y'all get it. Let's get some more scriptures. I'm gonna drop that article. You understand? Salaki. The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12 and verse 10, in the Apocrypha. Salakia. And it reads, never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. You understand? The enemy of so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians are those same people who bought and sold us in slavery. When you read in Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter and the 68th verse, the Lord said he was going to send us into slavery, you understand, on boats. And we was going to be sold by our enemies. That's your enemy. Your enemy is Kamala Harris. You understand? She spent millions, perhaps billions of dollars prosecuting brothers right here in the Bay Area. You understand? And I know it's a lot of brothers that had to serve prison time, you understand, being innocent, because she don't give a damn about black people. She don't care about severing a father from his household. You understand? She didn't give a damn about none of that because she is our enemy. You understand? So is Donald Trump. So is Barack Obama. All of these is heathens. You understand? And anybody that sides with your slave master over the greater good of the children of Israel is an enemy to the children of Israel. Go to Jeremiah 15 and 5. It's the book of Jeremiah, chapter 15 and verse 5. For who shall have pity upon thee, O Jerusalem? Or who shall bemoan thee? Or who shall go aside to ask how thou doest? Nobody got pity on the children of Israel. Nobody gives a damn about what happened to us in slavery. Nobody gives a damn that 77 million Native American Indians was slaughtered by these conquistadors and these pilgrims. Nobody gives a damn about them. You understand? It says, who shall bemoan thee? Who's sighing and crying for the children of Israel? Not the oppressor, not the little hat guy. You understand? Not Su Young that owned the Chinese food spot in every black neighborhood in America. Nah, none of them give a damn about what happened to us, right? Or who shall go aside to ask how thou doest? Ain't nobody inquiring about the children of Israel being oppressed in this empire. It just don't happen like that. You understand? Salaki. Jeremiah 42 and 22. And it reads, hold on one. Oh, perfect. I didn't even want this precept. This is the Lord right here. This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 42 and verse 22. Now, therefore, know certainly that ye shall die by the sword, by famine, and by the pestilence in the place whether ye desire to go and to sojourn. That's what happened to the children of Israel. You understand? Of course, we didn't want to be in America, you understand, to sojourn here. But ultimately, as the time went on, you understand, we've married onto American culture. So we believe America is our home. You understand? We believe America is our place of rest. And what the Lord said we're gonna die by the sword, famine, pestilence. You understand? This is exactly how we die. The sister Sonia Massey, she just died by the sword. You understand? We number one in all diseases right here. You understand? And our people are literally starving to death in America. You understand? Down there in South America, Central America. You understand? Is terrible. You understand? Slovakia. Isaiah 42 and 22. That's what I wanted. The book of Isaiah, chapter 42 and verse 22. But this is a people robbed and spoiled. The children of Israel have been robbed and spoiled. You understand? The word spoiled is another word for robbed. You understand? Or being our goods being taken. You understand? In the end of us losing a war or losing a battle. You understand? That's what it means to be spoiled. The blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians, we have been robbed and spoiled as a whole, right? They are all Salakia, they are all of them snared in holes. You understand? We stuck in holes. What's the hole? A hole is a trap. It's something that's hard for you to get out of. You understand? This is exactly what happened right here in America. You understand? America, the land of the free and the home of the brave. No, the land of oppression and the home of the slaves. That's exactly what happened in America to blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians. You understand? This is why when you see brothers down south talking about they getting money by selling illegal substances, and they sitting back in a house. You understand where they doing a business at? They call it the trap. You understand? That's exactly what it is. It's a trap. It's something that's hard for you to get out of. It's hard for you to. It's easy to get in. It's easy to fall down a goddamn hole, but it's hard to get out of it. You understand? Salakia. And they are hid in prison houses. And this ain't just talking about being in jail or in prison. This is actually talking about the living conditions that we live in our neighborhoods. You understand? Our neighborhoods are set up just like prisons and jails. When you go to prison and jail, Lord forbid nobody do. You understand? But it's set up in different sections. You might have different buildings where you housed in. You might got different dorms where you housed in. It's different cells. You understand? You understand? Everything is set up in this manner. You understand? This is exactly how our neighborhoods is. When you look at LA, you got a certain jurisdiction where a certain gang thrives at, or a certain gang has rulership over. You understand? Then when you cross that main street, you got another gang over there. Then let's not to mention public housing or the projects. You understand? That's set up exactly to look like a prison. You understand? You got different rows of houses. You understand? Different neighbors and like this is exactly how prison looks. You understand? This is exactly how jails look, right? Brothers situated over here. You understand? They might be in West Block. You understand? You might be in 34 West. You understand? You might be in Building 22. You understand? You might be in Corcoran. You might be in Pelican Bay. You understand? All of these different prison houses are set up exactly how our neighborhoods are set up, or the projects that we grow up in are set up. You understand? And it's the same stuff going on in there. It's drug dealing. It's crime. You understand? Instead of it being guns, it's brothers getting stabbed. It's fights. You understand? It's people getting hurt over unpaid debts because we all being oppressed. You understand? Salaki. Habakkuk 2 and 12. It's the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2 and verse 12. Woe to him that buildeth a town with blood. This is exactly how America was built. It was built off of the blood of the natives, the so-called Mexicans, you understand? Puerto Ricans, Haitians, Dominicans, you understand? So-called Jamaicans, you understand? Of course, the so-called African Americans, you understand? This town or this great city or America was built with blood. It was built off of us being slaughtered. You go work out in that field, or we gonna kill you. Salaki, or we gonna unalive you. You understand? Salaki. And establish a city by iniquity. Woe unto that man that established this city and builded this town of America with blood. You understand? Or established this country with sin. That's what iniquity is. It's a sin to unalive somebody without just cause. You understand? It's a sin to push drugs in anybody's community. It's a sin to oppress a people. You understand? It's a sin to rob somebody. It's a sin to sexually assault somebody. You understand? It's a sin to human traffic somebody. That's exactly how America was built. This is the planned oppression of black people here. Pull another article real quick. CIA involvement in Contra cocaine trafficking. Let's see, where should I go with this? For the related border allegation of drug trafficking by the CIA. See allegations of CIA trafficking. A number of writers have alleged that the United States Central Intelligence Agency was involved in Nicaraguan Contra's cocaine trafficking operation during the 1980s Nicaraguan Civil War. These claims have led to investigators by the United States government, including hearings and report by the United States House of Representatives, Senate's Department of Justice, and CIA's Office of Inspector General, which ultimately concluded the allegations were unsupported. The subject remains controversial. Come on, man, that's a lie. You got Los Angeles Police Department officers, ex-Los Angeles Police Department officers, in town hall meetings admitting that law enforcement has been involved in drug trafficking. You understand? It's a lot, yeah. It's a lot to read. Ain't gonna get into the whole thing, but yeah, the CIA was absolutely involved in trafficking drugs. You understand, in the black community. This is where crack cocaine comes from. You understand? Black people in America, you understand, as a whole, we were not known to have certain types of degrees as far as dealing with science. You understand? If you look at the chemical elements of crack cocaine, you have to be somewhat of a chemist to actually come up with this drug. And coming up with this drug, quite frankly, it comes from trial and error. You understand? And black people, We don't have enough money to be spending thousands of dollars on a kilo of cocaine. You understand? Trying to figure out a way that we can stretch our money as far as cooking it. You understand? Nah. Then on top of that, you give black people drugs at that time. Well, the most thing we gonna do is use the damn drug, or probably sell a little bit to our friends and all that type of stuff. You feel me? But I'm saying that to say this: Harlem, Oakland, California, Miami, Houston, Texas, Chicago. You understand? Philadelphia. All of these major cities, you cannot find any trace of a coca plant. You understand? It's not native to up here. Furthermore, I've seen documentaries on how cocaine is actually created. Niggas is not doing that. Salaki. I'm just gonna keep it real with you. That's too much. You understand? Furthermore, in order to turn cocaine into crack, you understand? Like I said, you got to be somebody that's familiar with a whole lot of scientific practices, as well as have certain equipment to actually cultivate this type of drug. You understand? And of course, we all know goddamn well, if there was some nigga in the ghetto that invented crack, his name would they would name the law of going to jail for crack after his ass. Excuse me. You understand? We know George Washington Carver, he did a whole lot of shit with that peanut butter or peanuts in general. You understand? Where is Leroy Jackson? You understand? The fucking excuse my French, the Michael Jordan of crack cocaine cooking. Where the hell is he at? I ain't never heard of him. You understand? Of course, yeah, we did it in our communities, but this is something that was taught to us. You understand? You got a lot of brothers I got family in Chicago. I got family, Oakland, of course, San Francisco, Mississippi, you know, all down south in general. And if you got a older relative that's in their 60s, you understand, probably 70s years old, ask them about a neighborhood. Well, ask them about what neighborhood that they lived in, you understand, and the geographics of the neighborhood. And do trains run through that neighborhood? You understand? There's a story in every goddamn ghetto. Now, somebody get in the comments and tell me if I'm lying or not. There's a story in every goddamn ghetto of some brother that was around and alive at that time that knew that trains used to drop off drugs and weapons in the black community. You understand? This is a known fact. My father told me a story of it happening out here in Oakland. You understand? I've seen brothers in LA talk about this on camera. You understand? I've seen brothers in New York talk about this on camera. You understand? It's a known history in the black community. You understand that there's been crates of drugs and guns near the black community. You understand? Left in abandoned train cars. You understand? Somebody tell me if y'all know anything about that. You get Lamentations 4 and 17. It's the book of Lamentations, chapter 4 and verse 17. As for us, our eyes as yet failed for our vain help. You understand? We looking for these other nations for the oppressor to help us, and our eyes have failed. That's why it says vain help. Vain means something that means absolutely nothing at all. You understand? Something that has no meaning, so no substance to it. The help from your oppressor is unlikely. Matter of fact, Salaka, not unlikely. The shit will never happen. You understand? Your oppressor will never get you out of slavery. Your oppressor will never give you your identity and give you the tools in order to build up your nation. It's not going to happen. You understand? That's not in his best interest, because somebody has to be a loser. Either he's on top or you're on top. And you know who he wants. You understand? Salakia. He wants himself and his nation to be the chief people on planet Earth. He don't want your people to be at the top and him all the way below at the bottom and scraping for crumbs, you understand? And you know, not being able to be the ruling party on planet Earth. He wants all of that for himself. So they're never going to help you out, right? In our watching, we have watched for a nation that could not save us. Yeah, your oppressor ain't gonna save you. Like, we sitting up here talking about voting for any oppressor that gives us some type of hope that he gonna fix the lives of blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians. Donald Trump not gonna do it. Kamala Harris, her being an oppressor too, from the sea line of her father, she ain't gonna do it. Sleepy Joe, he damn sure didn't do it. He dropped out the race. He said, "Hey, look, man, I'm tired of this shit. Excuse my French. It's time for me to go ahead and sit down and jump up in this rocking chair. It been real, America. I'm gonna go ahead and pass it to this broad, cause she finna lose any goddamn way. You understand? It's like you." Verse 18, they hunt our steps that we cannot go in our streets. Our end is near. Our days are fulfilled, for our end is come. That's exactly what's going on in the black community. You understand? They hunted our steps. You understand? Our end is near. This is how we feel. You understand? Look at what I just read to y'all earlier in the class about what happened during slavery. These are the same people that's hunting your steps when you go out your house or when they come in your house. Sonia Macy, you understand? May that sister rise again in power, and may her family get justice, you understand, in the Lord's kingdom, not in this kingdom, because you ain't going to receive no justice in this kingdom, you understand, because this is vain help that you're looking for from the oppressor. It ain't going to happen, you understand? Salakia. Our prosecutor are swifter than the eagles of the heaven. They pursued us upon the mountains. They laid wait for us in the wilderness. Yeah, that's exactly what your oppressor did. He's swift as the eagle. You understand? They quick to pull up on you and bounce out and shoot you in 1.2 seconds when they see a little boy outside, you understand, with a toy gun and an orange tip on it. You understand? They quick to unalive us, right? Swiftly. It says they pursued us upon the mountains. You understand? They searched high and low for us. That's what it means to pursue you upon the mountains. They searching high and low for the children of Israel to destroy you. You understand? They lay wait for us in the wilderness. That's your oppressor. He is sneaky, conniving bastard that's lying in wait for you to devour you. You understand? Wherever the hell you go, whether it be upon a mountain, in a wilderness, in the streets of Oakland, Chicago, you understand, in the Caribbean, man, look, the oppressor will find your ass on a boat in the middle of the goddamn Bermuda Triangle, you understand, in order to unalive you. That's how they get out. You understand? With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and end this one early. Lord allow, I'm going to do a part 2 of this next week. You understand? Make sure y'all like, share, subscribe. You understand? Y'all by Shemi Al-Shah brought a thumb to the brothers. Y'all was Shamar Al-Thun by Shemi Al-Shah to the sisters. Shalom, Israel.